Welcome to the Rock the Stage Show. Each week, international media expert Rich Bontrager has in-depth and personal conversations with celebrities, top leaders, authors, speakers, and media professionals. Now, from the Rock the Stage studios, here's your host, the Trigger, Rich Bontrager.
Welcome back. Sunday night, 7 o'clock. That's right, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You're in the right place for Rock the Stage Show. We're in for a great treat again tonight. Again, our shows are always unscripted. And really, it's an informal discussion. And we invite you into these discussions. We want you to really hear the inside, the heart, the passion, the journey the people have. And let me ask you tonight, are you feeling tired of the never-ending changing world we live in? You got to change. You got to reinvent. You got to rebrand. You got to do this. You got to up-level your career. And just when you think you up-level your career, someone says, oh, you can go higher. Or maybe you think, I can go higher. There's another level to go to. Do you ever get tired of that ever-changing, perpetual moving, instead of just, I got to the top and I want to enjoy it for a while? We're going to get into some of that and more today with our guests tonight. So feel free to chime on in. Kate McKay is the powerhouse in high-performance coaching, personal development, and resilience. She is known as the 80-pound Tony Robbins. Now, she has helped thousands unlock their potential through her science-backed framework. And today she's here to share insights on grit, growth, and what it truly takes to thrive in the ever-changing world. I want to hear about this tonight. So without any further ado, let's welcome in my guest tonight, Kate McKay.
Woo! I'm so psyched to be here. We're going to be rocking it on this Sunday night. Thank you so much for having me. And again,
You don't look anything like Tony Robbins.
Well, I will, just because I'm like energetic and I always was like 80 pounds. I'm more than 80 pounds. But yes.
Well, thank you for dropping on it tonight.
What's that?
I said, thank you for dropping on it tonight. I'm looking forward to this.
Me too.
So we were talking backstage, but I think everyone else needs to know. We are going to talk about grit, growth. But the Grit Girl was a moniker you tried for a while. So tell us just a little bit, how did you fall on that, being the Grit Girl?
Well, I think that it's just the matter of life and how sometimes life hits you hard with cosmic 2x4s. And I just happen to have, I think, a little bit more than my fair share of those. And I think that people have often looked at me and wondered, wait a minute, how are you able to go through what you're going through and still have a positive attitude and still persevere and still want success and want to share your stories, even when other people maybe would have laid down and said, forget about it. I'm just gonna have a glass of wine and coast. And it never was an option for me. It truly wasn't. I never saw, okay, I'm gonna surrender as an option. And that doesn't mean that I went beyond a certain human protocol and didn't listen to myself. I did, but I knew what I didn't want, and that has always been my driver.
So you knew what you didn't want. A lot of people don't consider that. They think about what I want. They keep reaching, grabbing, and it's perpetual. But you actually knew, I don't want this, not wasting my time. How important is that?
I think it's everything. Because I think if you really take a good look around, and that can include your friends, your environment, your work, and you can see other people that have followed that path. And if you don't say, oh my gosh, that excites me, or oh my gosh, I can see a higher vision for myself in ways that I can add value, it's a dead no. And I think part of it is because I'm from a really big family. I'm I'm in a family of 11. I'm one of 9 kids. And, I got bumped around a lot because I'm like 6 and 9. I'm the youngest girl. And so I had to acquiesce and fight for my mashed potatoes and all those things. And I learned a lot because I lived in this microcosm of the world with all these personalities and how I had to adjust and the way people made choices. And I had a lot of opportunity to say, oh, hell no, I won't do that. Oh, hell no. As an observer, you see? So you have to build that high level of self-efficacy to really know who you are, to be able to have that level of courage. But I think it's also just part of I'm just crazy in that kind of way. I'm really clear what I don't want, and I've made a great success based on that path.
So you built multiple businesses. You've
Yes.
done extensive coaching with athletes and competed as an athlete. And so what's the biggest thing you learned about through those experiences that taught you don't want to ever do that again? Don't repeat that. Is there something that sticks out as the biggest learning curve of just don't do it?
I think that we all have to ask ourselves this question, which is, at the end of your life, are you going to regret doing or not doing certain things? And for me, it was a hell no. I don't want to have any regret. I want to make this rodeo, this ride, even with its hardship, even with its challenges, even with great loss and struggle, that I'm going to say yes to the higher version of me because I believe I was given unique gifts. We all are. We all were given
Yeah.
unique gifts. And I believe it's a personal responsibility to uncover them and live in them for the betterment of everyone, you see?
So have you taken any of those strength finders or multi-personality
My
tests?
favorite. The
Okay.
Strength Finder's my favorite.
I can geek out on those, and I've done leadership summits. I've led multiple teams. I love it. Have you ever gotten to a situation when you looked at the results, looked at the people, and said, "I know them. I know them." No, this doesn't work. That's not really you guys.
Well, the cool thing is it's not usually people. This is what I want people to hear really very importantly. And this is the basis of my book, Peaceful Ambition, and the core of much of my success is that people are always talking to you, even when words aren't coming out of their mouth. Their body language, the yearning that you hear and feel in them, people give you everything you need in order for you to help them, to serve them, or to decide they aren't the right people for you. Are you listening? Are you watching? Are you paying attention? And number one, are you able to bring value to them? And are they able to bring value to you? This is the gift of theater training. That was the only thing I ever got A's in.
Oh, really?
Yes. Well, my mom sent me off to private high school when I was a junior. And she's like, Katie is different than the rest of these kids. There's something about her. I'm going to stick her into an all girls performing arts high school. And I was the classic ADHD. I thought I was going to be a gymnast and all these things. I was a creative. I was curious, but I was also pretty smart. And I found that theater was the one place that all I had to do was pay attention and listen to what people said and respond authentically. And I got an A. And I was like, wait, you mean not everyone does this? And I believe it's the core part of my success in building, a 7-figure business and even getting through the loss of my son from suicide in 2017.
Well,
Are we listening? Are we listening?
well, that's a great question because active listening is such a powerful skill. And working with broadcasters and all the talent that I get to work with, the biggest thing is shut up and listen. They're thinking of the next question, they're thinking of the next phrase, and they're not listening to you. So what I just heard a few moments ago was, you were a gymnast at one time. Hey, that's not on your profile. I used to be a gymnast. That's pretty cool. What was your favorite sport?
Well, I went to performing arts high school thinking I was going to do gymnastics. And all of a sudden I was surrounded by people playing in symphony hall and competing at the high level. And I was just a chump. So it wasn't really that good. But I had transferred my gymnastics into competing. I've been competing since I was 43. I've been competing as a bikini competitor. So let's just say it's almost 2 decades that I've been a competitive athlete. That requires strength. Weight training was also my saving grace. And I believe that's been foundational in my ability to succeed is my mindset. And obviously you have the similar mindset if you were a gymnast because we're a little bit nuts.
Well, and also one thing about that particular sport, yes, you have a team. There's team scoring, and you're competing against another team. But every time I got up on the apparatus, my coach said, forget everyone else, do better than you did last time. You're competing for yourself and with yourself while you're on app. And it taught me so much about that self-competition of striving, didn't it?
It's intense. And that's why I enjoy coaching athletes or people who have a success mindset of the athlete, because to me, it so resonates. I don't believe that you can be really successful unless you've been able to meet your maker in in challenges such as a sport or waitressing even. I'm
Yeah.
promising you that's one of them. Because it tests your mettle. How do you serve? How are you serving a team? Because even though it's an individual sport, I compete. Even now, I competed and won first place in December. But I want to win for my coach because I want him to be proud of me because I am ultimately part of a team.
Right.
I want to do my best for my team, and that requires me to lead in that energy. And that's not a small task. And that's why it comes back again to personal responsibility. You owe the world, you owe your creator, your gifts to be squeezed out of you, even when you don't feel like it.
I love that. Squeeze out. I tell people it should ooze out of you.
Yes, you have to wrench your goodness sometimes. And that's really what I do as a coach. And I had mentioned before we hit the record about a couple of my previous clients reached out to me today and they're like, I need a little pump up. And I'm like, oh, you're calling the wrong person because they know I'm not going to be gentle. I will laugh. I will use humor, which I do a lot, but I call them out and say, listen, I think that you're only living 20% of your potential. And the frustration that you're experiencing right now, I believe is internal. I don't think it is your circumstances. I may be wrong. And they're like, no, you're right. Right. So we are required also, if we're holding ourselves to that standard, the people we love, we also have to hold that high watch and that high standard. And unfortunately, what that means is oftentimes you're going to be living your life in solo capacities. And it's hard. It's hard to live in your greatness. I feel that.
So you mentioned the loss of your son, but also the resilience side, bouncing back, getting back into it. And I'm sure business, personal, everything. So how do you balance that drive that you clearly have and balance the inner peace you need to have to get through all this crap? How do you balance go and be at peace?
It's really easy for me. You know why?
Really?
Because really, the bottom line is I'm lazy. I'm a Leo. So just picture the lion, right? The lion will go after it. He'll like take down the animals and protect everybody. But then what does a lion do? It goes, "Sheesh, I'm tired," and just chills out. I have a magical secret sauce, and that's the ability to rest. That I know ultimately that my greatest gift comes in teaching people how to restore themselves spiritually, physically, mentally, and emotionally to achieve greatness. And that's why I'm writing a book called Peaceful Ambition. Because listen, when my son chose to ascend on his own accord, as his friends describe it, he took his own life in 2017. And I had to come to this to meet my maker moment going, wow. Wow.
Did you see it coming?
No. Because I'm so positive. It's like suicide ideation. It wasn't my thing. And you wouldn't have known it from him, you see? So he was so spiritual. He was in a Buddhist monastery. He was meditating 8, 9, 10 hours. Little did I know that that was a warning sign, you see? So we don't always know. But what we do know is that people are going to come into our lives as great teachers. And it may be just 22 years of magic. It may be a lifetime.
Yes.
So he taught me I had to ultimately surrender to the grief. And then at that point, I was able to do the lesson. Everything I do, he's right here. I'm never nervous when I have to get on stage or perform. I'm like, babe, here we go. Me and you and God, we're on. Because I'm carrying his light. We are in a position of carrying the light of people we loved. That is the gift, I think, that so many of us really need to fully embrace at a higher level. We're given the gift.
So the new book, Peaceful Ambition. How do you define that? Because again, everything you're saying resonates and it's powerful. But what is peaceful ambition?
Do we always have to succeed or achieve based on not being enough? Do we always have to live in this perpetual cycle that we need more, we need to do more in order to achieve a certain level of success? What happens if our purpose, the reason why we're here, is not from a place of not enoughness? What if it's from uncovering who we are and living into that powerfully? Because the purpose isn't out here. Even David Goggins said it, I believe best. Anyone who knows David Goggins, he's insane. But do you know what he says? Your purpose isn't out here. You are your purpose. You are your purpose every day, every moment. Are you making it count? And
Okay,
that
but that
includes, are you resting to be
that
able to receive what is given to you? Because you can't
that
receive
scares
if you're pushing.
that scares the daylights out of people to think
Mhm.
because it's all here. It's easy to say it's all out there. Someone else's fault, someone whatever.
That's
But
easy,
what,
isn't it?
what you just said turns it all right here. And you have to look, wrestle, pray, meditate, take a long walk, put on the headset. It's here, and
It's
people
sat.
don't want to do that.
The bottom line is that we need to own who we are and stop projecting it out on others. Is it
Oh,
uncomfortable? Oh, hell yeah, it is. 90% of people do zero personal development or spiritual work daily. For me, I'm like, oh, I know I am here. Right? Wake up, peeps. I'm going to love people and casual them and challenge them into their awakeness if they choose to be. And I'm here. I'm fully like a soldier in it. It's like I'm a warrior. I'm here. I'm ready to be called because I stay fit. I stay mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually clean because my
you,
primary relationships with God.
you just took me back to Boy Scout. I'm physically fit, morally straight, and physically. Thank you, thank you for that childhood flashback. Right here live. You know,
But there's something to that, right?
there
And,
is. That's why they
it's so
taught us
unfortunate
that.
that the Boy Scouts are another place that fell apart where it was a safe place for men to be boys, to burn things up and blow things up and to be in the wilderness and meet the fear and do all the things that builds warriors.
Yes. Yes, and it made a big impact.
Of
Now
course
you
it
also
did.
talk about with psychological fortitude. I know you talk
Ooh,
about resilience, but
favorite.
psychological fortitude, ooh, tell me about that. That sounds cool.
Doesn't that sound delicious?
It does.
I know, right? Because you're one of me, you're like me, right? Like-minded people. Because we don't really use the word fortitude in this with psychological fortitude.
No, we don't.
No, it's foundational and it has some stoic in it, right? It's being able to sit back and be in a non-reactive state and to be able to have situational awareness on your own responses and what's going on around you. So you can use all the war metaphor you want. Any of you have not read the 33 Strategies of War by Robert Greene, please read that. He is brilliant. Any of the Stoics, obviously Ryan Holiday is brilliant, but Robert Greene is amazing. The 33 Strategies of War is absolutely incredible. And this is one story that he says about Patton. And if it's okay, I'd love to
Yeah,
share it.
yeah, yeah.
So Patton was petrified. Okay. He wasn't ready to be the warrior of his family heritage. He came from a family of warriors. Okay. Real unbelievable military strategists. So he was at the front line and the war is going on and he's there and he's sweating and they were like, all right, now we got to step forward. And he took one step. He wanted to go back. And all of a sudden he looked through the mist. And what did he see? He saw all his ancestors calling and they said, charge. And he stepped forward. So the reason why you hear about Patton always going, why did Patton always go to the front line? Because he was always looking for them through the mist and meeting his fear. That is psychological fortitude. We must face the fear and we must do it anyway, man or woman. And we need to be able to build that level and that quality to understand that sometimes fear is just a doorway into our greatness.
Well, and I think that ties back into what I was talking about. We're tired of charging. We're tired of pivoting. I hated that word during the pandemic.
Me
We're
too.
tired of readapting ourselves. But this is a quote from you. I'm going to quote you now, rip from your headlines, okay? To fully adapt the agility mindset, one must embrace adaptability,
Mhm.
cultivate resilience and psychological fortitude, and confidently pursue innovation solutions while monitoring a clear future focused vision. That's a
Mhm.
mouthful of get your crap together and
Right.
know yourself.
Yeah, know yourself and trust your gut. Because if something doesn't feel right, it usually isn't right. If something isn't called to you, and stop settling for relationships that don't match yours. This is the biggest challenge I have with men and women, that they're still trying to get approval for their second grade teacher that told them that they weren't smart enough. And like, think about it with you. Like when you told me, is it okay if I share
Oh, yes, yes, yes,
that you stuttered?
yes.
And yet you had, that's a huge, and look at now what business you're in. It's amazing to me that you had the psychological fortitude to overcome something as acute as that puts people in jobs that they never have to speak, never have to be in front of people because they're
Right.
afraid they're going to stutter.
Yes.
It's that's such a beautiful example.
Well, and you talk about also being familiar with the surroundings. Having resilience, man, you have to be able to read the room. Because when you're in the downside, when you're going through hell in a handbasket, when it's not easy, you're aware of yourself. And it's hard to look out and read the room, but you have to read the room because some people may be giving you compassion, support, throwing you a lifeline, some may be downgrading you in their own mind, but you have to be able to read the room. What can you say about helping us do that? Because when you're in the pit, you don't want to look around.
Well, even before that is really that what I talk about future focused clarity is that you have to know how you want to feel and to be able to move that into the moment, but also project that out. I know like today when I woke up and I journaled, I knew I wanted to show up 150% for this time with you. I knew at the end of the day that I wanted to feel that I served our audience and I was 150% present. This is how I know if it's a right thing or not a right thing. Because if I go at the end of the day and say, oh no, like that wasn't a good, no, I have a vision of how I want to live my life and what the values are. If you don't know your core values, then in that moment where everyone's bouncing at you and talking about you and they're trying to cut you down, you're going to go down. You're going to go down in a flaming heap. You have to know who you are.
Now we're back to strength finders, and strength finders taught me the importance of your personal values.
Yes.
And you have to share those personal values because no one will know your values unless you tell them to them.
Exactly.
So when I finally found out that I was a creative, I was a communicator, I was a dreamer, I was a Walt Disney guy. Not Walt Disney, but a Walt Disney guy.
Are you communication?
Yes.
Awesome. Perfect.
And when you finally tell people and you like come out and share that, people are like, really? And then if they start seeing you in action, the values I have of creative, fun, laughter, joy, people go, oh, you're living that out by doing this over here. And they connect the dots. It's a game changer.
Well, you are so I'm an activator, right? So, and like, it's like my number 1 or 2. So, and a strategist. So I come into a room and I just change energy. And I'm not even a type A. I'm like, la, la, la. People are like, oh, Kate's here. She's going to notice that I'm not working out. I have to report to Kate. And my daughter's like, we were in the supermarket. She's this big. And she's like, Mom, why do people tell you everything? I'm like, babe, I don't know. It's because people feel like they have to report back to me because I'm the one that drives energy and innovation and says, I believe in you. You can do it. I don't have to do anything. That's innately who I am as a human being. It could be something that you love about me. And I'm telling you, you could hate that about me too. So I have to learn how to play it down a little bit, pretend like, oh, I'm not an activator, woo, right? So we have to learn how do you work our room, right? We have to learn how we play our energy into other people. Is this a place where I need to be? Like a communicator, you're here to tell stories.
Oh, yeah.
That's what you're here to do. You're here to lead people through the spoken word.
Yep. So you also, again, this is probably the best part that jumped out at me. That was like, I gotta talk to you. I gotta talk. You say that part of your mission is changing the myth of balance. That you want to shake up status quo. The myth of balance.
It's BS, dude.
Yes. So tell me about it, please.
There's no such thing as balance. I've been hearing about this for years, and particularly with women. There's this whole personal development that, I can't date anyone until I'm fully healed. And I'm like, I've always been like this, like, what are you talking about? You're never going to be perfectly ready for marriage, for building a bit. You're never ready. It's never going to be that way. Live within your passion and purpose. Rest along the way. But balance is an illusion. You ever meet somebody and they're like, oh, my husband and I, we split everything right down. I'm like, how fun is that marriage? Like, come on, right? If you're thinking that you have to balance, that you can't make a decision because you have to balance things out, you're cutting yourself off at the knees. You just are.
Well, and it feels the restraint.
Oh,
You
unnecessary.
You feel the leash of,
Mhm.
I don't have balance, so I can't move forward. I don't have balance, so I can't go date
You do?
again.
Okay, Muhammad Gandhi. Do you think he thought Trump? Musk, Jesus. Do you think if you ask any of those people, hey, how do you keep balance? They would laugh in your face. When you're serving, when you're clear on your purpose and you are serving, you're not looking for balance. You're looking for, am I my most healthy self? Who am I here to serve? You can do your self work, know who you are, and your social work at the same time. Please and thank you.
You just sort of say, please and thank you. That was great. But that really is a struggle. And all this resilience talk and all this finding your journey talk is, there is no perfect time to move forward.
No, it's a complete.
There's no perfect time to move forward. I'm waiting
never,
for the day.
ever. And it's the people who actually have, in general, the resources to be able to make bigger changes that are just spending too much time thinking about like what they're going to do and creating another business plan and figuring out more in their branding, and just go serve people. What you're going to find in your daily course of someone who really needs you, and you're going to give them exactly what they need, but you're not going to find it behind your keyboard, or finding another branding consultant, or trying to write the perfect pitch or the perfect this or that. No, go serve people. People are waiting for you exactly as you are, in your imperfections.
Yes. Now, you spoke a little bit. I want to go back to your grief, your loss, your son.
Yeah.
In that, those moments are some of the most imperfect moments in our life. We can't hold anything together. Everyone can see that we can't hold it better. We're faking it to get through it. But what I've found personally is to actually just go, blah. Right now, this is what you get, folks. So don't expect anything else. And it freaks people out that you can be that confident and out of control at the same moment.
100%.
Go through that with your grief.
100%. Because I realized one morning, I remember it was a few days after, and I was sleeping with my daughter because we were just like all cuddled up together, just trying to make it through. And I woke up and I was like, wow. And I just remember a tear just coming down my face and saying, this is real. Okay, here I am.
Yeah.
And I said, God, you have a sense of humor, because my mission statement is to live powerfully with courage and enthusiasm. You think I'm going to do grief like that? Watch me. And you better believe I did grief powerfully with courage and enthusiasm, because if there's a will, there is the way. And I refuse to surrender and become a diminished version of myself just because of the circumstance. Now, that doesn't mean it was easy, because I was a public figure. Everyone's looking at me going, oh, how's Miss Positivity going to handle this one? And I'm like, watch me. I'm a hot mess.
So did you have people push back, get in your face?
My own family.
Can you just be real, please? Come on, just be real. Quit posing.
Don't talk about it. It was the shame of my family of origin, because my brother's death was snuffed. You see? It was, and then all of a sudden I'm like, hi, revisit. Oh, Katie, the favorite one, and Will, the favorite one. And now look, you have to look at that. People don't want to look at it, right? I call it the grief bomb, that when something tragic happens, it uncovers things that used to be covered and then covers up other things. So you have a new landscape. How authentically are you responding to your new landscape? What are you in denial about? You got to look at your new landscape. Your landscape is forever changing, isn't it?
It is. That's what people are tired of, but that's where the resilience pops in. That's
where the fun is.
and enjoy the new landscape. You have to
Yes.
go play in it, right?
This is where you have, I have one of my clients I was mentioning earlier, and she doesn't want to leave a job, and and I'm like, you've made your security your prison. You've made your security your prison. So what are the choices that any of us make, me included? Am I hiding behind the illusion that, oh, I'm a best-selling author, and I'm a keynote speaker, and I'm all these things, but who am I really? And am I showing up authentically? And I think a lot of that comes in the observation of people. And that's a tough one for you as a communications, because you just love to talk, right? And you want to bring it out of people. But the good news for you is that you're in work where you can bring out other people's stories. So you're forever in that magic
Well,
of your work.
and you talk about your brand message, my brand message. I want to help you shine on camera, shine on stage, and elevate your brand. It's not about me. I'm here every
No.
week, over and over and over again, whether you like me or not. I'm here. I've been around for 35 years, but my goal is to see you shine. So I set you up for that. Now, that's the active
Beautiful.
listening, that's the good questions, that's all the things that go into it. But if you're not aware of who you are, you can't step into that new place and do whatever greatness you're supposed to do, right?
Right. Well, you're facilitating the greatness. You're creating a space where other people can live into their greatness, and you have the vessel of other people launching. What a gift. What a
And it's
gift
the
you
funnest
have.
thing in the world.
And
There's
you're in
people like
heaven.
you. No, this is like pulling the grenade pin out, dropping it out, and watching it go boom and see what happens. And it's so fun
Right.
because then you get to the real core of people.
Exactly. So how is that, man? I'm just curious about it. And if you don't mind, I'm just wondering,
Yeah.
what was the journey to get into that? Because did you ever feel as though people thought you talked too much, or what was the journey to embrace? Because I'm sure there was a journey that people, when you're living in your light, there are going to be people that are thinking you're too this or too that, right?
So my family was a top. My two brothers are brainiacs. My father was a judge and a lawyer. My grandfather was a senator. And then I stutter as a kid going,
Holy
so
smokes.
I had everything in my head. I was extremely smart. I just couldn't get this to this and work. So I was a bumbling mess most of the way through high school, where everyone else knew my family heritage. It was a big name, Bontrager. So it was like they heard Bontrager and they looked at me and said, that doesn't match. And so it was a long journey of me getting self-confidence, self-aware. I mentioned to you backstage, and my grandmother was a big part because she was the
I
first one that
believe
said,
in you.
I see the creativity in this kid. And the creativity may be his path to get this and this to work. She was the first one to see it. And I played, I had imaginary friends. When the house was empty, I was Captain Kirk. All right. And I played William Shatner, Captain Kirk really well. I had it all down. I rearranged things and I would talk. But then during the TV and football games, I would do sports play-by-play when my dad's trying to watch the game. And sometimes they're like, just shut up. What are you
Oh my
doing?
gosh.
Now, years later, they're like, he was practicing. He was learning this. That was the only way he could do it, by sitting at home and doing it. And now he made a 35-year career of it. My grandmother said, let's try something. Because reading out loud is a horrible thing for stutters. If you don't
Very
know,
bad.
it's the most painful. Saying your name and reading. So I loved comic books. And she literally had me read comic books in the voice of Batman, Scooby-Doo. She said, do the voices that you see and hear in your head. And when I began to be the creative outlet, reading the book and expressing myself, it began to unlock the real journey of Rich Bontrager, that the personality, the creative that was lacked by you're stupid, you're dumb, you can't speak, and the comparison to my own family of being rock stars, finally they said, he's a creative. And I grabbed that like a dog with a bone. I ran and I said, I am going to be a broadcaster. And in college, I was told by my college professor, great voice, no one will ever hire you, you stutter. And now he laughs because he's seen everything over 35 years and goes, I was so wrong.
It's wonderful to prove someone wrong that way. And what a powerful, powerful, powerful story. And it highlights two things in particular. The first one is the importance of having someone believe in you.
Oh,
And sometimes when people reach out to me, I just say, I believe in you.
Yep.
And that's as simple as it. That's all you need to say.
Oh, yeah.
Because in our heart, don't you believe in these people? Why don't we tell each other that we believe in them?
And you never know who needs that boost to break through that threshold.
Everybody needs it.
You never know.
Everybody needs it. Because you know what? Even I needed it. Because you know why I do that? It's because Brendan Bouchard, my coach, I walked up to him on stage. I'm like, Brendan, I said, I'm going to be like your A student or whatever. And he looked right at me. And he was super quiet. And he looked right at me in my eyes. And he goes, I believe you will. And I was like this. I was like, oh my God, he believes in me. And like, this is me, Miss Confident. That changed my life.
Yes.
So that's why I say that to people all the time. The second thing I want to say about your story that I loved and appreciated so much, and this is to all the viewers and listeners, is in your life, when you were younger, yesterday, 2 weeks ago, when you're in third grade, you heard you were two of something. Too stupid, too loud, too fat, too quiet, too smart, too observant, too creative, too dramatic. What was that for you? And what I can promise you is what you heard that you were two of is who you are at your highest and best and most greatest self. So please lean into your two. Please lean into that, because I promise you your greatness is on the other side of that. And I can't wait to hear your own stories.
That's fantastic, Kate. The wonderful. So while I have a moment here, I'm going to bring up your website.
Thank
Because
you,
they've been
darling.
listening to you and they're getting pumped up. They want to jump up. What are they going to find when you get to your website?
Well, the bottom line is to everything. I'm here not to just inspire people. I'm here to transform with you. So it's not enough for me to be like Tony Robbins and just be like, woo, let's go. It's not my game. I'm a strategist. I'm here to help people create a system for success. And that's what Peaceful Ambition's about. And that's why I'm writing it, because there's 12 different core skills that we need. Contemplation is being one of them, people. You got to get real comfortable with contemplating who you are and sitting in that mess, that wondrous, most beautiful mess. Picture the inside of a cocoon. That's pretty nasty. And the only way it can grow into brilliance is to be able to give it time to foster into this beautifulness that it becomes. So that is a big part of it. Yeah, I'm happy to provide a strategy call for people. If you want to just share your greatest challenge, there's not a problem I don't love. So just bring it to me and I'll be happy to listen. I'm the most non-judgmental person you'll ever meet. It's just my name. It's my game. So bring me your biggest fears, and we can create a plan to help you live into your two of whatever that may be. I'm here for you, cheering you on.
So I'm curious, what's Kate McKay's biggest challenge right now?
Oh, my biggest challenge in a few different things. One of the things that I'm contemplating, and my mother said it before she passed away, is, Katie, are you ever going to go to ministry school? So that's one of the things that I'm contemplating, because I've always been deeply engrossed in spiritual work. So that's one of my things that I'm contemplating in my mess of my cocoon is a master's of divinity in my future. But most importantly is I need to finish Peaceful Ambition, and I need to bring that out to the world. It's a very different book than my other books. Claim Your Inner Warrior, Claim Your Inner Badass, Claim Your Inner Hate, which is more of my fitness book, because people meet me and that's usually what they think I do for work. But I don't. But that's oftentimes what I hear.
Kate McKay, marvelous to have you on Rock the Stage tonight. And you know what? We may just have Kate back again, everybody, because I think she probably has a lot more to say that can help all of us out. Right, Kate?
Well, maybe one or two stories.
Kate McKay, thank you very much for being on Rock the Stage tonight.
Peace.
So as we went down, it's interesting that we land the plane talking about faith, spirituality, and how it fits into our lives and personal careers. As you know, I'm a former pastor. I did weave my faith, my hope, my personality into everything I do. Because like Kate, I believe that's a vital part of who we are. So Kate, if you're watching this still tonight, go for it. And MDiv is a great thing. And people will also find a new way to connect with you because they know you're listening, you're doing things with a heart that's centered on more than just money, riches, and gold. Hey, that's going to do it for tonight. Rock the Stage Show. We'll be back here next week once again, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, every Sunday night. You don't know who you're going to meet, but we're always going to have a great time, unscripted, unfiltered, with another rock star. Come back next week, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, for another edition of Rock the Stage. Until then, I'm the Trigger, Rich Bontrager. Have a great week.